to the Character Corner with Chris and Deepam here. And we have another episode of Character Corner. Like last one we did was Ghost Rider. Today we're doing another one. I hope you guys prep for everybody calling off Black on Friday. We're doing Luke Cage and Misty Knight. Before we get into that, how you been doing, man?
I'm doing real good, man. And I want to say that so I don't know I don't forget who this whole podcast was, but I want to thank everyone who listens to them because we really just use it as an excuse to reread great comics.
Yeah, it really is.
Like I was grinning ear to ear rereading New Avengers Run.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, you can't fuck Luke Cage.
Yeah, it's funny because we talked this week. You were like, yeah, I have a lot of Luke Cage stuff, and we were talking back and forth. It was like, yeah, man. Like, I don't know about the Misty Knight stuff, and even I didn't really know. I was like, I don't know where we're gonna find Misty Knight stuff. I ended up finding a lot of Misty Knight stuff,
right?
And I was like, hey, well, we're good to go, and I have a way of reading stuff, and we'll have a lot to talk about here. And you're right, this is just fun, and I can't wait until the end when we announce again what we're doing next. But
I can't believe I agreed to that shit.
I can't believe you agreed to it. Well, no, at this point, you got to stop saying you can't believe you agreed to it. We're gonna get into this, but this is like.
This is Murtaugh, like, I'm too over this shit. Like, this is...
No, this... You
every movie I'm saying it.
So, look, to jump to the end, kind of the end of this podcast, I ended my reading by starting to read... I just did the first 5 issues of it. It's great. The David Walker's Power Man and Iron Fist. And literally what Deepam and I go through is like, I'm Danny and you're Luke. In that first 4 issues when Danny's like, hey, man, come on, we got to get the band back together. And Luke's like, I'm not doing this. We are not together. We are not doing this. This is just a one-time thing. And then he begrudgingly at the end.
Responsibilities.
Right. And then at the end, he's like, yeah, okay, we're together. See, it's great. Yeah, we're right. Yeah, this is literally how these podcasts happen with me and Deepam. Like, I somehow, like, get him to agree to do these things. And once when he's doing it, he loves it, you know.
Because I'm usually in the middle. He'll catch me like in the middle of a conversation where I'm like, not only am I right, but I'm having fun talking about it. And then he's like, hey, man, I was just thinking, you want to do this? And I'm like, sure, why not? That sounds great. And then I forget about it. I don't think about it until it's like staring me in the face. I'm like, oh, shit, I did say that.
And then especially with the last 2, when we announced these at the end, because I announced them on Facebook. So it's like, no take-backs.
Yo, because it's funny because I said yes on DM on Twitter and legitimately like, I wonder what's going on Facebook, and closed Twitter app, opened it, and the post I see is Chris announcing it. I was like, wait, what the hell? He had it written before I said yes. It really makes sense.
I really did. I had it written, and I was sitting there going, oh, wait, I should probably check with my co-host first.
Check in with him first.
Let me check to make sure he's okay with what is going to happen.
There's a moment in More Than Meets the Eye where Rodimus says something and Ultramagnus disagrees, and Rodimus points out some small grammatical error. No, Rodimus says something back, and Ultramagnus gets distracted, and Rodimus does what he wants anyway. Mm-hmm. And Megatron at one point turns to him and says, so how long did it take before you realized that he uses grammatical errors to distract you and do what he wants anyway? And he goes, he's what? Like, that's how I feel. Like, hearing it spelled out like this, I feel pretty bad about myself. Like, I'm pretty predictable. Let's just get started.
Look, man, I am here to help.
No, clearly you're not. Like, that's clearly
you enjoy this. I know what's best for you, man. I am your friend. I am your friend.
Just start.
All right, we do have a review. You want to go ahead and read that one from last?
I closed my phone. All right. It's from Greatness00. I love these podcasts. I follow both Chris and Deepam on Twitter, and it's how I came to know about Character Corner. The first I listened to was on Black Panther, and I was hooked. It's helped reignite my interest in reading comics. I really enjoy how enthusiastic they both are about the characters they're reviewing in the books in general. You're part of the problem, sir. Or ma'am. I figure if they're hype about it, I may want to give it a read. I look forward to more episodes and learning more about the comic book world. P.S. I've now become a huge fan of Jonathan Hickman. Sorry for your wallet. And I'm currently scouring Marvel Unlimited. See, that's good, Marvel Unlimited. For more from him, Secret Wars was fantastic, and the new Avengers run leading up to Secret Wars was addicting as well. Also, I agree, DC suffers mightily from not having its own version of Unlimited. Thank you for the review, and yes, all that.
Check out Secret Warriors too.
Yeah, just if John Hickman's read Shield,
Mm-hmm.
like the old trippy Shield he never finished.
Mm-hmm.
It's really good, and it's a lot of creepy, weird, high concepts that had no way to fit into any of our podcasts about his stuff. Trust me, I tried. And you know what? Because Leonardo da Vinci shows up in Secret Wars, and you're like, wait, because they never say who it is. You're like, wait, is that? And if you've read his Shield stuff, yes, that is Leonardo da Vinci.
And yes, DC does need Unlimited. They do.
We're learning even more clearly now.
Yeah, it's one of those things that becomes more glaring as you go in and look at all the stuff.
Because the Marvel one is doing these are so easy for Marvel.
Oh God, they're so like it's
like cheating. You're like, I don't think I did any work.
Right. No, I mean, like I said, when we get into talking about Misty Knight, I could literally just go, oh, let me go see if they have this. Oh, they have this. I can read. Oh, I can read all of it. Oh, they have a lot of it. You know, it's just, it's really, and I'm not sure if they did it this time. If not, keep an eye open for this week. They usually do spotlights on characters in the Discover section for things that are coming out. So I fully expect there to be a spotlight on Luke Cage at some point this week.
I think the Luke Cage one's going to be this week. I bet once the series launches for a week, you'll get the other characters.
Yep, you'll get Misty Knight.
You get a Misty spotlight on. You'll get I'm not going to. Well, let's not do that. You get the other characters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that'd be great. All right, so let's get into this. We're talking Luke Cage, Power Man. You know what's interesting about this character to me is that he really starts with his own book.
Yeah, they just opened the dates and fuck it, new character, let's see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
And he thrived.
Yeah, open up with his own character. It was Luke Cage, Hero for Hire, and man, I tell you what, man, this is one of those like it's. This character and Misty Knight are definitely characters that definitely come out of that blaxploitation era type stuff, and it's got a lot of that in there. But he has an origin that you can look back at and go, yeah, I can see that happening. Minus superpowers, but like that is something that a minority character could go through.
It's really it's grounded in the That's the thing about Marvel is that once they had the sensibility as a company that these things were important, they never shied away from it. Mm-hmm. They never said, well, they never said that drugs are a problem, so we can't make a superhero and an addict, but we'll make Speedy hooked on heroin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They didn't half-ass anything. Even when they misstepped, they misstepped at 100 miles an hour. There's a Punisher arc where he gets camouflaged to be a black person. And it's horrible.
All in.
But it was a mistake, and they made the mistake at full speed. Mm-hmm. They didn't stop the story midway through and say, oh, what a horrible dream that was poorly written and awfully drawn. They didn't say that. They said, no, we're going to see the end of the story.
Yeah, no, I mean... When they and they'll own up to it.
Yeah, but you've seen the Snap Wilson shit keeps getting brought up. Mm-hmm. It didn't just not happen.
Right. So again, Luke Cage, Hero for Hire, number 1. That is his actual origin. That is what it is. What was his original name? It was Carl Lucas. That was his born name. And he literally has like a story that reads like it was his background is read like it was out of the 60s, or 70s. Raised in a Harlem neighborhood, ran with a gang. His friend Willis Stryker and him. They end up basically like what I found interesting about reading this origin is for the first part of like issue 1 is literally almost his entire origin. And like they don't rush it. They don't really rush it. They kind of go into everything that goes on there. They go into, hey, he was with a rival gang, then got out. But his friend stayed in. There was a woman named Reva, I believe. And, when he tried to save his friend from another rival gang, Stryker from a rival gang, he thought that Cage was going after his girl, and so he had heroin planted at Lucas's house. Lucas went to jail, and is literally in, I guess it was a Seagate prison. And he gets beat by the crooked warden and the crooked cops there. Like, it is literally, he is born out of, police brutality and a terrible criminal justice system.
You can't tell me Marvel didn't do that on purpose.
Right. And again, it's definitely fills in and feels that blaxploitation aspect of it. I mean, the tiara, the yellow collared shirt and everything. But, there's something there that, and I think when you see the character's history and what they do with that afterwards, it's something that matters to that character. And it's not something that they've ever tried to go back and retcon or say, oh, that didn't really happen that way. He's always been like, no, they're like, we're going to keep it this way because it's an important part of how this character becomes. Even down to the his experimentation. He wasn't just experimented on just like I thought that would have been a weird. I don't know if that would have been weird, but let me ask you, what do you think would have been better if he had been experimented against his will, or that he did volunteer to try to get parole?
I think either way you can tell a good story. And as long as there's a good story around it, it makes sense. And this one is a great story around it. Mm-hmm. Because it for me, this is the realest thing the Marvel Comics ever did. It was saying, wait a goddamn second. We made Captain America once. Why wouldn't rogue companies be trying to recreate their own? Mm-hmm. Why wouldn't independent agents be out there? And they kind of run with that ball for a little bit in the Ultimate Universe and falls apart when some of the vision for the whole series falls apart. But the idea that Luke Cage exists because they were trying to make their own Captain America is awesome. Mm-hmm. Because it tells you he is Captain America. He's just not your Captain America. He's not the Captain America you thought you were going to get, but it's the Captain America you needed. And that's kind of the theme for Luke Cage as a character. Yep. His entire idea of hero for hire is not the hero you thought you were going to get. It's the one you could afford. Mm-hmm. Like, that's Luke Cage.
Yeah. I mean, it is basically taking the Captain America aspect of it and doing it in the neighborhoods that get ignored by.
Well, not even ignored. This is how they did this. This is how they tested it. This is how the Tuskegee experiment happened.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like the Isaiah Bradley series that comes out later after this, Red, White, and Black, this is it. Mm-hmm. This is the logical continuation of that. Mm-hmm. You force prisoners, now you hide it under the guise of parole, and you experiment on prisoners. That happens today in America.
Yes. Yep. So
a little preachy there. I apologize, but
no, it's serious. I mean, like I said, this is one of the more black and real origins you're gonna get for, like, even the Snap Wilson thing was just kind of weird, right? He's on an island,
it's kind of weird intimations right. And underlying things.
There's none of that with Luke Cage. Like and again, like I think that unlike some of the other things we've read from Marvel, when you go back and you read some of these origin stories that come from the 70s, you read them and you're like, oh man, okay, well, it's definitely a 70s story. I get that. I see that. This was different. Luke Cage, Hero for Hire #1. You read that issue, and you could, other than changing some of the artwork and maybe some of the dialogue here and there, you could remake that issue right now. Like,
well, it'd be weird because you know what? Because even the deconstruction of superheroes, it'd be like a 7-issue run. Mm-hmm. But the thing is, you can get 7 issues out of that book.
Yeah, no, you could. You can get like. Here, and again, I don't know how much of that we're gonna get in the when we talked about, in other mediums. Obviously, going to focus on the upcoming Luke Cage TV show. That's going to be, like I said, this episode coming on Tuesday, so you'll have 3 days to get ready. But I don't know how much of that they'll go into this. But we do know that they're keeping some aspects of that. And
that's one of the cool things about Luke Cage is that, and we're going to talk about this as we go through it. There's no one place, like when they said they were doing Daredevil and they gave us a cast list, I was like, Karen Page, huh? I know where this is going. Mm-hmm. Like, the story, like, not bad, not a bad thing, and they clearly made it their own. But we're doing Daredevil vs. Kingpin.
Mm-hmm.
Frank Miller, you want to put Frank Miller Daredevil on television? I'm not going to stop you. With this, there's no definitive that's the Luke Cage story they have to tell.
No, you can tell any of his stories.
And the thing is, they can all be fleshed out to be great stories.
Mm-hmm.
Even the ones that we're talking about that suffer from the writing of the time, if you will.
Right. Yeah, so his friend Stryker becomes Diamondback, and again in the Netflix show. And like I said, you basically have Luke Cage, and that's all the interesting thing about this. For the first, what's it? He finally gets his name cleared. What, in issue 50?
50 is when they clear his name.
He goes 50 issues because after the experimentation, he escapes. He leaves because he ends up one of the cricket cops that was there ended up trying to kill him while he's going through the experimentation. He breaks up, ends up hitting the guard, and he's like, "Oh man, you're gonna give me more time." He ends up finding out that he has unbreakable skin, and he breaks out of prison and leaves. They try to shoot him. They think he's dead because they shot him, and they don't know he has powers. They shot him. They find his shot shirt. They just assume that he died and he fell in the water because Seagate is considered Little Alcatraz, so it's like surrounded by water.
Off the coast of Georgia.
Yeah, so they just again black as shit. They just assume he's dead. So he basically takes the new name Luke Cage and becomes, like you said, literally a hero for hire. And so he goes 50 issues, basically living under this assumed name and being a fugitive. That's what he does. He builds up a name for himself. He builds up, some cred, and people know who he is. But he's still technically a criminal for 50 issues. And throughout
he's not just a criminal. He's a fugitive.
Fugitive, yes. For 50 issues.
The cops aren't after him questioning. He walked out of prison.
Mm-hmm. I think it's 40. Well, let's go back to before we get to that. Some of your favorite issues.
Yes,
we talked about this during the Doctor Doom character corner. What's it? Issues 8 and 9. I think of Luke Cage, Hero for Hire.
You don't just take the man's. I mean, he did the job, right?
Doctor Doom hires Luke Cage to take care of some Doom bots that are posing as African Americans in Harlem. Again, it is the 70s, guys.
Very much. Very much 70s.
It's 70s writing.
But no, don't worry about it, because where we end up out of this, we'll be fine. You'll be fine.
But Doctor Doom, being Doctor Doom who he is, decided he's not going to pay Luke Cage his $200. It's a job for $200. $200, man.
Dr. Doom's a dick. I'm going to refer you back to our 3-part Dr. Doom's a dick series.
Didn't pay Luke Cage for his $200, so Luke Cage decides to go and have a conversation with Victor. It does not go well for Victor. And Luke gets his money back.
He doesn't just get his money back. He gets to say the phrase, which I honestly don't know how I need to work into my life more often, but I do. Where's my money, honey?
Oh, the 70s.
I ask you a question. Does he get his money?
Well, he gets his money, yeah.
All right, then.
I
don't see what the problem is.
Again, because of the early blaxploitation stuff, you get a lot of those kind of phrases. Also, his infamous "Sweet Christmas" one, which everybody loves. That one keeps going. Like no matter
that one should stay around.
That one stays around.
Christmas, you have a problem with me,
right? That one's just gonna stay around. We're gonna keep "Sweet Christmas." That's just one that Listen, everything you have. There are some good and bad things that come, bad and mostly bad, but there are some good things that come out of blaxploitation, and I gotta say, "Sweet Christmas" kind of be
top of the list.
Yeah, it's gotta be top of the list. So
it may be the list. Sweet Christmas.
Yeah, I'm not gonna let him down. So we talked about before, so he has again 50 issues of Luke Cage's Power Man. Luke Cage, Hero for Hire. Issues 48 through 50 is where you introduce him coming across Misty Knight, Colleen Wing, and Danny Iron Fist. I'm going to go and say this now. So reading this, I really didn't want to do Iron Fist during this one because
can't not do it.
Yeah, well, that and we're gonna have Iron Fist out next year, probably in April. So we're gonna do Iron Fist. So what I've decided to do, we'll do Iron Fist, and then we'll kind of throw in Colleen in there, more of Colleen there. But we got to talk about Danny and Colleen when you're talking about Luke and Misty. It's just impossible. I mean, we'll talk more about this later, but Colleen is Misty's best friend, and Luke is Danny's best friend. So it's like it's impossible to not mention both of them when you talk about this. I mean, Luke Cage, Hero for Hire, Power issue. It starts off as Power Man. Sorry, so there's Luke Cage, Hero for Hire. Then you get Power Man, which is that's another one of his aliases, and that goes for 50 issues. Yep. And then it becomes Power Man and Iron Fist. So you can't talk about them. You can't talk about one without the other. But so I think Luke Cage, Hero for Hire goes longer than that. So that means he went longer. I'm gonna look that up right now. That means he went longer as a fugitive than that, because how many issues did? I gotta look that up. I need to look up how many issues Luke Cage, Hero for Hire went. He went for a year.
Let's see.
That's only 16 issues.
Yeah. So
it went 16, and then you went the 50 for Power Man. So then it becomes
right.
Power Man, I think, the year later, right? Yeah, like the year later in 74. Actually, wait, no. Nope. Yeah, 70. I think 73, 74. Yeah. So he comes across. Who was it? Was it Bushmaster?
Yes.
Bushmaster. Yes. So again, remember what we said. Luke Cage's, Carl Lucas, his friend, Stryker, had been the one to Diamondback had been the one to plant that have that heroin planted and set Luke Cage up, set Luke up to go to jail. So one of the things that Luke is trying to do is figure out how to clear his name, because again, he's doing all this stuff, it's fine, but his name still isn't cleared because he's still technically, you said, a fugitive and a criminal. Bushmaster says that
which by the way, that matters for a long time.
It does.
We're going to touch back on it later on, but this is him. His identity as a fugitive criminal sticks with him for a very long time, even after he's cleared.
Absolutely. I mean, it comes into play during Civil War when you get there, but yeah, I mean, it's a big deal to him, and so he is given the opportunity by Bushmaster to say, "Hey, listen, if you do this one thing for me, get this." He's supposed to kidnap Misty Knight and bring her to Bushmaster, and he does that. He will free his friends, who one is Claire Temple, which we know is played by Rosario Dawson in Daredevil, which means she should have a bigger role in Luke Cage. And I can't remember the other one with the doctor that I can't remember his name, but with the doctor that performed on that worked on that performed this experiment at the jail. And
Burstein?
Yeah, Burstein. And Noah. Was it Noah Burstein? I think it was Noah.
I think so, yeah.
And so he's holding both of them hostage and threatening to kill both of them. But he also says, hey, you do this, I will not only let them free, but I'll also clear your name because I'm the only one that has evidence that shows that you are innocent. There's a I can't remember what the name of the other criminal was, but I had a photographic memory and has evidence of all the stuff that Diamondback did, and has video evidence of him planting the drugs there and everything. So this is basically how Luke Cage comes across Iron Fist and Misty Knight and Colleen. Mm-hmm. Yeah, back in the 70s, they didn't care about hidden women that much.
No, not at all.
Not at all.
No, that was not an concern.
Yeah, not a thing. There was a big knockdown, drag out fight between between all of them, and it ends with them having coffee and tea. Like, it's just, the way the 70s works, like, it sounds weird, but it just
the way the 70s set up.
That's just how it works. It's like they go through that, and then they end dramatically with the, well, I just killed my friends, and that because I shouldn't do this. And it's, long story short, Misty Knight and Danny help Luke save Claire, save Bernstein, and also Misty goes the extra mile and gets everything she needs to clear Luke's name.
Right.
You know, and when that's done, and I think that's issue 50, the issues after that continue the story on, but it becomes Power Man and Iron Fist, because then Danny and Luke team up and basically become more heroes for hire.
Which is basically how most people know Luke Cage.
Right. Heroes for Hire. I'm going to get into this later, but I'm going to tell you right now, I have my idea for a Heroes for Hire show that does not involve Luke Cage and Luke Cage or Iron Fist. But we'll talk about that later on. Yeah, but it's you really get them developing this friendship between basically all four of them. And I think at one point Luke dates Colleen, and obviously Danny and Misty, have their relationship and stuff there. But for the most part, they always remain friends and are always there together, and it's an important thing. Like later on, when we talk about we talked about it before during Jessica Jones character corner, when they have their child and they name the child Danielle, and I love him when Danny finds out. He's like, "Oh, that's sweet." He's like, "We didn't name her after you." Yeah, sure, okay. That's still sweet. that's still sweet.
And Danny just ignores him. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. For her part, so does Jessica.
Right.
Now, I really like the Hero for Hire run because it was basically the new school Marvel team up. It was like, how do we put these characters together when they normally wouldn't interact? Absolutely. We inject literal Heroes for Hire.
And you get this more of like the drawing, the way they draw the new David Walker's Power Man Iron Fist. You really get the difference here, but they're just so different. I like the way they draw the new one just because you see the physical difference between the two. They are an oddball couple, and that's putting.
They're the original Run the Jewels.
That and it is yes, and it is that is putting it nicely. That is they are just a really. Oh yeah, remember, we'll get more into Danny's background. Danny's a rich white dude. Like,
he's a rich white dude who dabbles in the extra dimensional and intergalactic.
Right.
Luke couldn't be more grounded.
Right. He's literally a big bald now, black dude. There was I can't remember what issue it was. Somebody made maybe it was it the Secret Invasion where he's facing down his Skrull version of him that's supposed to be the early version, and he still has his hair. And so he goes into the Skrull version, basically goes, "What happened to your hair? That can't. I have to be the real Luke Cage because there's no way I lose these curls,
It's Secret Invasion had a lot of funny little moments like that,
right? But no, I mean they're an oddball couple, and you get the sense of. We always talk about these street level heroes and street level villains and things like that, but Luke Cage is literally a superstar in his neighborhood because for what he does.
Yeah.
There is that issue of New Avengers. There's a little short like New Avengers run with I think it's like New Avengers Luke Cage or something like that, where it talks about him going to handle some business that dealt with a former kid from his neighborhood who tried to go out and do the same thing in Philly. And you see his sense of duty and how inspirational he was that people wanted to be like him and go and do the same thing he did.
Right.
To clean up the neighborhood, to to show the criminals that you're not afraid of them, and and help those that are less fortunate than you are. Like you said, hey, people come to him like, hey, here's the $50 I owe you. Hey, he told the kid, he was like, listen, keep that money. You and your mom need that so you can eat. You go get a job. When you get a job, you can come back and you pay me then. You know? Right. So it's one of those things that it's hero for hire, and it almost sounds like they're taken advantage of, but it's anything but that, right? You know, it's anything but them taking advantage of the people they're helping. They're literally there to help. You know, and it's a noble thing. And again, it's such a grounded, you know, not to say he doesn't go out and take care of, he can't. And again, Luke Cage is powerful enough to take care of big threats, but he takes care of home.
Yeah, and that's the thing is that, and we see it later when he gets elevated by Bendis' writing, which, by the way, he wrote the hell out of this character. Mm-hmm. But people say, oh, you don't need to have him. He doesn't need to be involved in these big events. And for a while, people may have been confused and thought he couldn't be.
Right.
And I think especially when you get it through the lens of what we know now about the character, things that we've seen written about him now, he was literally a choice. Like, no. I take care of home. Because it's a very street-level, smart Spider-Man, Daredevil mentality that they brought to Luke Cage.
Mm-hmm. You know, powers, strength, unbreakable skin, so a healing factor when you can break that skin. So again, he's a top-notch heavy hitter. When you need somebody to literally, no irony here, hit hard, you can call in Luke Cage. But yeah. And this is something that, again, as we go in and we talk about his relationship with Jessica Jones and then them having the child and having a kid together and getting married, you get something, you know, well, let's do it a little bit now. We can come back to some other stuff. What I've always found interesting about Luke Cage, especially towards the newer stuff, is, and this is something that you don't see with a lot of characters. You have a lot of married characters before. You have a lot of married characters that have kids. I mean, shit, we talked about Reed Richards and Sue Richards and their kids and what goes on there. I mean, shit, we brought them up. You can't talk about Dr. Doom without talking about the Richards kids, you know? I mean, you just can't do it. But what I find interesting about, and it's something that I don't think I've seen, and I'm pretty sure that other characters out there have done this, maybe just not as well or as big level as these characters. With Jessica Jones and Luke Cage, you literally have a couple who try to do normal parentish things. You know?
All they want to do is be normal parents.
Yeah, all they want to do is be normal parents. Like, again, there's several times you hear Luke is out there doing something and Jessica's calling him. It's like, wait, are you out there with Danny doing, I thought you said you were just going to be gone for a minute. I'm just doing a little thing. I did this little promise. I'll be right back. I don't like that. At one point, there's a funny little thing where Luke and Danny get in the car, and he's like, "Yo, where's the truck? Why are we in this they're like in a Prius or something like that?" And Luke is huge, so he can barely fit in there. He's like, why are you having the truck? And they flash back to Jessica saying, she's like, "You were out there with Danny again. You're not taking the truck." "Nope. If you're going to be out there with Danny, you find some other form of transportation." And Luke just goes, "Yeah, Jessica had to use the truck for something else." Danny goes, "She didn't let you take the truck, did she? She didn't let you take the truck." It is great seeing that. They argue over things and eventually they just go, "All right, I love you too, honey. All right, go do what you got to do." Yeah. You'll never forget that scene in Superior Spider-Man where Dr. Ock shows up and tries to force them to do something, and they're talking calmly and putting Danielle into the cab, and they're like, "Oh yeah, you know, make sure she has this and that," and they're basically ignoring Spidey, and then they turn around and knock the fuck out of him when the baby's gone. It's just like, it's an interesting dynamic that you don't get with other heroes, like. And you get a couple that, you know, they argue, they have their issues, but they definitely love each other. And especially when you get into how this came about, it's one of the more interesting love stories and relationships that is generated, I think, in the Marvel universe. Cause they really got started off of a fling, a one night stand in Alias, you know. And it's just one of those things that it developed into a legit loving relationship between two people who had a kid, and then they get married, and then they are a legit, a legit married couple, which quite honestly could be one of the more genuine relationships in the Marvel universe.
If not genuine, relatable for the fan.
True.
Because it's like Reed. I think Reed and Sue's real.
Oh yeah.
Like, but this, it feels so grounded because it's not them talk. Because Reed's big problem is that he disconnects because he's the smartest man alive. While many of us may feel that way, most of us cannot relate to that feeling. But Luke's is like, I'm just trying to do my job, and like, I know, but we need to do, like, he struggles with responsibility both at home and what he feels like he owes the world, or what he feels like his job is. And I like that. I like that we finally get a character really grappling with what that means. Like, even Spider-Man, when he was married, they played on it some, but it never, it never felt like, well, that's not true. It was used for the occasional storyline, like MJ would leave or something. But for the most part, they didn't really let that be a source of contention or struggle for the character.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the small things. Like, there's a moment when he comes home and his shirt is messed up. She's like, "Is that the shirt I got you for Father's Day?" Right. He's like, "Yeah." And he's trying to get another shirt. She's like, "Oh no. You gotta take another one of those shirts that I got you for Father's Day. I'm gonna pay out the shirt. If you're gonna go out there with Danny and do this dumb shit, I'll pick the shirt out for you." It's just like, he's literally getting ran.
I love that Danny's evolved from like the beginning to being the problematic friend.
Right.
I just really love that evolution of the character where, like, now Danny's the fucking problem.
Right.
Like, before it was like, "Luke, please don't start this fight. Please don't, Luke,
right.
Luke, damn it, Luke." And now it's like, "Danny, I can't hang out with you no more."
Right. Why not? I got a kid, man.
Just doesn't want to hang out with you. You play too much.
Right.
We always get in fucking trouble, and you know that.
She doesn't like me, does she? She just likes it when you don't talk. I think we all like you when you don't talk, Danny.
Right.
It is no, I mean, like I said, their relationship is one of those things I think, like, on his own, don't get me wrong, on his own, Luke Cage is great. But I think having that relationship there, and like you said, it changes from being the guy who hits first and jumps in first to now the guy who has all the other considerations first. He has a wife, he has a child, he has to do all this stuff, and seeing him struggle with doing that, and him struggling with actually trying to maintain being a hero, but also being a dad and being a husband. And honestly, I think that scares him more than anything else. You have a man, and again, this goes back to what we talk about with Marvel making their characters so relatable. You have a man who has superhuman strength and an unbreakable skin, and you basically not going to stop this dude.
Yeah.
But he is definitely afraid of his wife and being a disappointment.
As he should
father.
be.
Right, as he should be.
Jessica does not fuck around.
No.
Dude, she went to Norman Osborn.
Yep. I gotta, let me see if I got this panel. It was something that I saw. It just reminded me about this. Let me see. Yeah. So yeah, that's what it was because we were talking about the car. Like, so I'm confused. You're not. Oh, so there's another thing. He started saying this new thing. I can't remember what it was like. It's in the David Walker run. It's like Fibble Fabble, something like that. And he's like, "Why are you saying this?" Like, because Jessica started, because the Danielle was starting to curse too. So he was like, and that's been another big thing about Luke Cage is cursing, right? So Danny's like, "All right, cool. I don't understand why you're doing that." It makes fun of him. So when they're at that house, like, Danielle's there, the entire family's there, and Jessica's cursing out both Danny and Luke, right? So they get back in the car, and Danny's like, "So I'm confused. You're not allowed to swear around Danielle, but Jessica can. Jessica can do whatever she wants. She's the boss."
That's it.
And again, that's a legit family dynamic that everybody, every husband in the world, every boyfriend in the world can relate to that, right?
People ask me what I'm doing this weekend. I said, I have to talk to management.
Right.
I don't know what I'm doing this weekend. Hold on, let me find out.
Right, honey, what are we doing this weekend?
What am I doing this weekend?
Right.
I mean, people laugh. Yeah, we can laugh, but that's reality.
That's real.
That's real writing.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So again, I just think that relationship that he has with Jessica is such an important piece of who he is. Because you see him open up, you see him, be this guy, and then you see him get angry whenever Jessica gets hurt or any harm he thinks comes to her or that child. You see Luke Cage.
Heaven help you if you hurt that child.
Right. It will not go well for you.
No, it will go actually the opposite of well.
Mm-hmm. So I guess we can move into like some of the go back a little bit, go back to the business stuff. I think what stands out to me is, and what's good about that stuff is putting him as an Avenger. And
starting him as an Avenger and eventually making him the Defender, the Avenger.
Yeah. And I think that's important because again, it shows you elevation from just being, some street level character that nobody cares about.
But it makes sense because even the way they do it, so the way the New Avengers happens, there's an inciting incident, a breakout at Rikers, whatever they call it in the comic, the Raft, and Luke Cage is there as the bodyguard to Matt Murdock, who's there to visit an imprisoned prisoner. Which all of this makes sense. Mm-hmm. Bad things happen. Luke Cage steps up. He gets invited to the Avengers. And it's something that, like you said, it's an elevation of the character. At no point does it feel that way.
Well, I'm just saying, I'm
saying, they pull it off from a meta sense. They elevate the character immediately,
mm-hmm.
but the writing doesn't make it feel forced.
Oh no, absolutely not.
The writing makes it feel so damn natural. They're like, of course, why would
mm-hmm.
you take it? And that's one of Bendis' greatest strengths. He's able to convey these big changes or big sweeping changes or big evolutions of character without making it feel like it's forced or tacked on.
Mm-hmm.
Like when he stares at Purple Man and they're walking in there.
Right.
And eventually, when he gets out and Purple Man catches those hands.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all, when I tell you that Purple Man dying in the Jessica Jones series may have been the best thing for him. He gets out during the breakout of the Raft, and he comes upon Luke Cage, and he tries to use his powers to make him go kill Captain America. And then he realizes his powers don't work. Oh, man. I don't know, man. Because I read the Jessica Jones stuff right before that, mm-hmm. It was very, very fulfilling. Mm-hmm. I really viscerally enjoyed it, like, as a person reading a comic book. I was like, I enjoyed that.
Yeah. And like you said, I mean, it's one of those things, once an Avenger, always an Avenger. And as you go throughout this, Cage starts playing more and more important roles to the point of eventually end up running an Avengers team himself.
Captain America's first legacy was Luke Cage.
Mm-hmm.
Bucky picks up the shield. Cage picked up the fight.
And the team. Remember, I love the some of the tie-ins with the conversation they had about Civil War. Let me see if I can do that. Find the issue here. Let me see. Here you go. So yeah, this is when Iron Man shows up. Iron Man and Carol show up to talk about him not signing the Superhero Registration Act. Signing on. So you're not signing. I'm going to raise my kid right. What does that mean? It's too bad you don't know. There's another one in here. Oh yeah, here we go. This is Luke talking to Jessica about this. I gotta take the kid and leave. I know. I know. I'm not leaving you though. I just have to keep her safe. I know that. Come with. Through all of this, we got enough money to leave, right? Canada needs superheroes too. I ain't leaving my home. This is my home. Luke, please, you want to end up like Matt Murdock in jail fighting for your life? I ain't leaving. I worked damn hard to clean up this neighborhood. This is my world. I ain't gonna have my kid grow up to find out that after all we've been through, her daddy buckled to the man. I hate this thing they did. I hate with everything in me. I ain't gonna go along with it. And I ain't leaving my home. People of this neighborhood know me. I want them to see me. Want them to see what they do to me for standing up for what I believe is right. Hey, I got unbreakable skin and I've been to jail. I can handle anything that's thrown at me. And I'll just bust out of any place they put me. And then I'll teach them what's right if it takes the rest of my life. So,
like this run very well could have been Luke Cage and the Avengers. You could have called it that.
Mm-hmm.
This is his book,
right? When because eventually, like you said, throughout this entire run, you get Luke obviously siding with Captain America, but eventually, like you said, it becomes Luke Cage's Avengers team. So much so that after Civil War is over with, when Iron Man and Steve have sort of mended fences and come back to him, talking about getting Luke to move, because eventually at one point Luke was running the Avengers out of like Doctor Strange's like sanctuary or something like that. Yeah, it's like he's running the Avengers, and they eventually like, hey, listen, we want you to come out of the shadows. We want you to be an official Avengers team, move into Avengers Mansion, and Luke is like, nah, I'm not doing that. You're not gonna get me to come back in here and move, and do all this stuff all over again and go right to where you were. You said, here you go, Luke. I told you, Cage, say that. I want you to be Avengers, all of you. Come on, Cap. You want us to move in here and do whatever you say. No, I want you to, and I'm saying all we've been through, not just us, but you too, all that I fought for. You want us to just move in here and do whatever you say. It's like, yeah, it's not gonna happen. So what they end up having to do is their contingency plan was Tony comes to Luke and just give me $1.
I love it.
And then Luke doesn't have $1, so then Danny has to borrow $1 from Danny. Danny gives Luke $1. Luke gives Tony $1. And Tony goes, all right, congratulations, you just bought Avengers Mansion. Here's the deed. He's like, what? It's like, listen, there's a contingency plan. This is Plan B the entire time. I knew that you were never gonna go for this, and I knew that you were a man of honor.
You would. Cap was wrong.
Right. I knew that in order for this to happen, you have to feel like you own this. So here, you can buy Avengers Mansion for $1. All right. It's an above the board sale. He already had the papers drawn up and everything like that.
He came ready.
Right, he came ready. He was like, yeah, Plan B. Because again, it's Tony, right? And again, moves in to Avengers Mansion and running his own Avengers team.
I think the best part about it is I don't have the cash.
Right. And who has cash for him?
Danny.
Right. So good, man. So good. You get, like I said, you go through that. You have the new Avengers run. They go through Civil War. You have again, we talked about it a little bit before. Secret Invasion, which I think it's just funny, just because again you get Luke fighting Luke.
You know what's really not funny is when the Jarvis Skrull takes his kid.
Oh yeah, that is nuts. Yeah.
It's a good reminder that Luke Cage does not get mad very often.
Yeah. And like Jessica's like torn. It is, yeah.
It's hard. It's really well written. Really well written.
Mm-hmm.
But like you said, like I just want to go back to something you touched on already. Issue 22 of New Avengers. It's when Tony and Carol come to his house.
Mm-hmm.
The speech they have between themselves, like I just want that 2-page splash in the middle of it. If the world was a nice place, we wouldn't be who we are. You're trying to make the world something it ain't. And worse, you're selling yourselves to do it. And who are you selling to, huh? What you're trying to do, it can't be done. It's not human nature. Luke, I need to know what you sign on. Guess we'll find out at midnight. Luke, they will come in your home and they will take you out of here. And if that doesn't work, they'll call us next. Do you want that? Is that your goal here? Oh, is it Mississippi in the 1950s now? Oh, come on. The difference is, stop it. Will you stop? Getting pulled out of your home in the middle of your night for being different is the same now as it was then. And then Jessica chimes in, does have a timeless quality to it, don't it? And Tony responds, no, it's about breaking the law. Slavery used to be a law. Luke, you twisted this and I won't hear it. You should hear it. You should hear those you should turn those robot ears on real loud, because this is what it is, baby. You're perverting it all. You're distorting the ideas you said we stand for to the point where when you're done with all this, the ideas won't mean anything. You'll stand for nothing except for whatever they tell you to do. If you join, you can make sure that exact thing doesn't happen. Man, look.
Mm-hmm. This is why the show had to be. This is why the show had to be black as fuck.
Black as fuck. They had no choice.
Mm-hmm.
But you're right. He holds the Avengers together. He really wears the name the best through everything. Through Secret Invasion, through Norman Osborn's Dark Reign. Mm-hmm. When they're all watching television, when Norman's announcing his new Avengers, they're just sitting around, and Spider-Man's like, "Is that? Oh my god, it's Venom, and it's not even the good Venom." What? It's Scorpion, the dude with the tail. Like, it's so funny how derisive they all are, but I really enjoy the way I like the idea of Avengers on the Run. I like the idea of Luke Cage in charge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Both those things are appealing to me as a reader, and they brought it to us in spades.
Absolutely. I know you didn't read this because it's Greyland art, but Mighty Avengers was pretty good too.
I read some Mighty Avengers, not much, but some.
It's a black as fuck team too.
He's a tracer.
I know. You would never get past the art, and I get it. I get it. We're not gonna go too far into that, but again, there's another black ass team though.
Right. Before we get to that team, can we talk about issue 47?
Go ahead.
It's the story of when Luke Cage sent Jessica to find his dad. Did you read that one?
I do not.
Oh, 47's heavy. Okay, so this is what Bendis does. When there's a big crossover, he'll use it to tell some super personal story about one of his main characters. Secret Invasion, it's tagged as a Secret Invasion crossover. There's Hawkeye as a scroll on the cover, and a bunch of people with scrolls. None of those people are accounted in this book at all. So, when Secret Invasion starts, they didn't know who could be trusted. Jessica leaves Luke in the New Avengers and runs to Avengers Tower and lets Jarvis watch her daughter. The story that gets told in this book is about basically he fleshes out how they met, and it goes more into how they became to trust each other. Jessica goes to Atlanta, Georgia. This is in the past now, and asks for James Lucas. It says he goes by the name James Geary now, but it was James Lucas at one point, and the woman won't let him in. And she tells the woman, there's a man looking for his father. Son just wants to talk to his father, and her reply is, the father doesn't want to talk to the son. The man's been through a lot, you see. A man has, the way I see it, a man has an image in his head of what he wanted his life to be, his kids. Struggle, heartache, all that's fine. A man can see that through, but all this with the superheroes, and then what happened to the other son. He keeps an eye on Luke. On the internet, he sees when Luke does well, he sees it, but it's not what the man wanted. He lost a wife, a son. It's not what he wanted. Jessica says that's all he has left. And then the woman replies, from that life. It's his new wife. And afterwards, Jessica and Luke are in a parking lot of Dairy Queen. And he's going through it, man. This is tough to read. And Jessica says to him, probably the most perfect line ever written by Brian Bendis. What do you want from him? He used to wear a metal tiara in public. And the story's framed by, because it's Luke telling their daughter about when he realized he loved Jessica. Mm-hmm. And then you cut to the end of the book is today, when they realize who all the Skrulls were, and that Jarvis was one of them, and that now he has their child. Mm-hmm. And it's, for me, like through all the superheroes and all the stuff we've talked about, the ability to tell that story with those two characters is why they're so grounded and why I enjoy reading them so much.
Yeah, I mean, they're
truly Marvel characters because they always feel like people.
Exactly.
They don't feel like costumes who have to have a secret identity. Luke Cage's Power Man is Luke Cage. Like, it's like, I don't want, call him whatever you want. Just cut the check. Mighty Avengers. Sorry, I just derailed you.
No, you're fine.
I love that issue, and I really want to talk about it.
No, that's a great issue. I'm sorry. I'm getting trolled on Twitter with these images.
A battle on two fronts.
Yes, I'm fighting a battle on two fronts, and people are attacking me. But no. Again, like you said, the Bendis runs on the Avengers issues with Luke and Jessica. They flesh out so much more what you started in the Alias stuff, and again, because when you first get them together, you're just like, oh, this is an odd couple that's never gonna be together. But it literally develops into one of the strongest relationships that's out there. You know,
it's my favorite relationship in Big Two comics.
Yeah,
it really is.
I can't disagree with that. When you really look at it and look at how it's done, it is done really, really well. See what else was there. Again, you have the Mighty Avengers stuff. Then you have Captain America and the Mighty Avengers. At one point, Luke takes over for the Thunderbolts. At least the Thunderbolts. I mean, it's just he's constantly been in there, and like I said, I think that even though he comes off and saying he's retired, he's never really retired. Again, if you really want to get some good Luke Cage, the David Walker Power Man and Iron Fist run is really, really good. It's a really funny and great read, especially those first 4 or 5 issues where Luke don't want to do none of this shit. He's getting dragged into it.
At all.
Right.
Danny is the problematic friend.
Mm-hmm. And it's great to watch. It's great to watch. What to read.
Really, yeah.
Yeah. Which it makes me excited to see.
So I guess we're going to probably get at least parts of the origin. Are we going to get to 50, you think, in this Netflix series? I think Danny shows up. Spoiler. I think Danny shows up.
I think he has to, right?
This is hard to do because as we've shown today, it's really hard to do Luke without talking about Danny.
Right. Like I've been avoiding anything that involves this, but I kind of feel like you gotta, even if he's got to show up, he's got to be teased. Something's got to happen, right? I feel like it does. Because you're gonna have, again, you got to think about what we're gonna have here. You're gonna have. If Danny doesn't show up, Colleen's got to show up. Somebody that links those two has to be at the end of the series, right? You know,
yeah.
Because again, I'm interested in seeing like what I think maybe Colleen shows up, and I guess we can now go into. Is there any more you want to do with Luke Cage? Because I'm going to kind of.
That's what's too Misty. I think we did a really good job on Luke, and
right.
And let's just say this right now. With the Daredevil one, I felt weird doing that character corner. It's like, I literally know where this is going. Mm-hmm. I don't know what story we're going to tell with Luke.
I have no idea. That's why, like I said, it's going to be very interesting seeing because you have all the same. If you look at this, you have all the pieces. You have Claire Temple, who has been basically connective tissue in all these series.
She's our Phil Coulson,
right? And she should be probably more into the Luke Cage series than anything else because, again, I mean, for a time there, Luke and Claire were dating. So you're going to have her there. You have Jessica Jones. I don't know if Jessica shows up in this. I'm assuming Jessica shows up in the Luke Cage series as well at some point too. We know we have Misty Knight, and she's going to be in this series heavily. And honestly, you really can't do Misty Knight without her losing her arm. And so maybe once she loses her arm, that's when Colleen shows up. Or, the whole thing with Colleen and Misty is Colleen is fighting. I can't remember who she's fighting, but Misty comes in and kind of helps her and saves the day, and they become friends after that. And so when Misty loses her arm, because Misty Knight was a detective, but she's on the bomb squad, she goes to stop the bomb, goes to throw it, saves people, but her arm gets blown off. Gets a replacement arm. I believe that replacement arm was still Stark Tech, but I know the second one was definitely was. But the first one was Stark Tech. It's just a steel arm. So I feel like if she doesn't lose the arm in this series, she loses it soon. But then you got to get that relationship with her and Colleen because literally, I'll go into this now. When I was saying that I have an idea for a Hero for Hire show that doesn't have Luke Cage or Iron Fist, you do Misty and Colleen because they actually have some of the Hero for Hire books are Colleen and Misty.
Those two, yeah.
So
I see that too.
Yeah, so I would love, like, if you're gonna do that, I would love, like, you gotta think about it. You have an Asian American, and an African American woman. That would be an amazing, like series right there. Like, I would love to see, after reading some of the stuff I've read, I would love to see a Misty Knight, and if you don't call it Heroes for Hire. What was their agency? Nightwing. Nightwing Restorations. Call it that, where they were Bale's bondswomen. Women, and that again, that was so one of the books I read for Misty Knight was Daughters of the Dragon, and we'll get into that later. But that was absolutely, that was great. That was a great storyline and stuff there. But yeah, Misty Knight, former NYPD detective, right arm was amputated. And she resigned from the police force. Tony Stark gives her a bionic arm, so she has a good relationship with Tony and with Steve, and that's why she really, even though she sided with Superheroes Registering, she didn't pick a side because she compared to basically her two older brothers arguing, and she's not going to pick a side between the two. Yeah, so she saved Colleen. They said the private detection agency / Bale's Bond area. It depends on what issues you're reading, things like that, and what you need. Nightwing restorations, you know, and they're literally best friends.
That's it.
And they're awesome. So again, that's another one of the things where it's like, if you're gonna do, just like you can't do Luke without Danny, it's really hard to do Misty without Colleen because, again, peas in the pod. When you first meet Misty Knight, she is very. It's very weird. Her first appearance is, I think it's Marvel Premiere issue 21. It's really weird. She shows up, but you know at that point that she's also at that point already working with Colleen. Because Colleen mentioned her Misty by name and running the business the issue before. So they're already established as friends. When she meets Luke Cage, that's when, again, we were talking about that before, when he meets Iron Fist and stuff like that, and Misty and Danny are already dating.
Right.
You know? So that's how it goes. Again, they're tied. Misty Knight's one of those characters, as I was reading more about her, I thought it was very interesting they never did a solo series for her.
You could do, like, and the thing is, as we were sitting here talking about this, I agree with you 100%. They could do like a Friends-style sitcom with 3-4 friends being superheroes. Mm-hmm. Like, there's so much you could do with this property. Mm-hmm. Like, because I forgot that when you met Misty, she's already dating Danny.
Yeah. By the time you meet,
by the time Luke meets Misty, she's already dating Danny.
She's already dating Danny. Because Danny comes in after, because Luke fights Colleen, then Misty comes in, and then Danny comes in after her, and then Danny and Luke fight at first. So it's like, yeah, like, that's already been said. Colleen, Danny, and Misty are already friends, dating, whatever, already together. It's Luke that comes in last in the picture. So, yeah. So again, the way they're doing the Netflix series is a little bit different than that.
But we don't know that though. They could twist it. They could swerve us really good here.
You're actually true. You're right. They could.
And what if they drop Danny in like episode 3 and like that's how they do it?
Right. You know, who knows? But
I don't think it's happening.
No.
From early reviews, but I'm just saying they could do it because I trust Marvel.
Yeah, they could. But yeah. So you could. It's one of those things that's been weird to me that not even weird to me that she hasn't gotten solo series, but they did give her several books where she is definitely the focus. And some of the ones I've read that were very interesting to me were, again, Daughters of the Dragon was a good one, and that's I can't remember who wrote that one, but that's her and Colleen, and they're Bale's bondswoman, and they are trying to figure out why they're basically stopping certain hero. They're trying to catch these criminals who escaped Bale, and it opens up. It's funny. It opens up with them stopping Rhino, like Spider-Man's Rhino.
Yeah,
you know. And again, remember, these are two. They don't have superpowers. Like Misty Knight has her. We talk about her arm all the time, but at this point, it's not even the Stark upgraded arm right now. It's just the steel arm that only lets her crush things, and she can hit a little bit harder because it's steel. But she doesn't have super strength because of it.
Right.
You know, it's none of that stuff. So, but yeah, they stopped Rhino, and we talked about Rhino in the Rogue War thing. So stopping Rhino, these two regular no superpower having women. Colleen is one of probably the best American samurais there is, but it's Rhino, Unbreakable Skin. How they do it, and Colleen does it by crashing Misty's favorite vintage car into Rhino.
It worked. I'm not saying she was right.
I think that might have been the same thing Colleen said to Misty, and Misty was not happy about that. But it's interesting. Again, I love reading that book because you really get the dynamic between these two women, and they're very different, but very similar. And you can tell that they've been friends for a very long time, and they trust and care about each other. But the storyline of the issue is these little bit terrible criminals go out and they try to rob this. Basically, they call her the Oprah Winfrey of this universe, where she's a upcoming media mogul. I think what was her name, Riccadonna or something like that. Yeah. And they steal something from her, and they end up stealing the wrong thing. And they don't realize that this woman, she's not just she's basically Oprah mixed with Kingpin.
Yes.
And they don't realize this. And it is when I say it's some criminals you don't know. What is the Humbug is the only one that really survives. He's a guy that can talk to insects.
Look, man, everyone needs powers, man.
Like when I tell you that you're reading the
Whirlwind was in that crew, wasn't he?
Huh?
Wasn't Whirlwind in that crew?
Yes, he was. He was the only one that was decent and that had powers, but then he ends up getting his spine twisted by Trickster. Was it Trickster? It's not Trickster. Trapster. I can't remember what the guy's name. He ended up gluing his feet to the ground, and Whirlwind is trying to turn. Right, yeah. Ended up twisting his spine as he's going. Yeah, it's pretty horrific.
That could have gone better.
Right. So Humbug is the only one that ends up surviving out of this group because Riccadonna, she's coming after them and stuff like that. So he goes to the Bales Bond women who were trying to bring him in, asking for protection, and while showing up and trying to take back this computer virus she has that they stole from her, Riccadonna ends up cutting off Misty's bionic arm. And,
which actually works out really great for Misty.
Works out really great for Misty, but in the long run. But one thing you realize is that one original arm was tied to her nervous system, so when it got cut off, she ended up blacking out because from the pain and everything like that. And she is not very happy reliving that trauma over again. And let me see if I wrote down that, because I think that was again, you get moments with these characters where they talk to each other because only how best friends can talk to each other.
Right.
Let me see if I can find that. Let's see. No, I didn't say that, but it's basically Colleen's kind of like, you kind of never. She's like, you could have stayed being a detective. You could have stayed being a detective, but you didn't do it because you keep all this stuff bottled up in there. You don't let anybody in. It's okay to say that you need help. It's okay to say that you were hurt. It's okay to even say that you're a little fucked up, getting your arm cut off again. It's okay for doing all this stuff. And Misty does not want to hear all that. She just wants revenge. And she eventually goes and gets it. She gets an upgrade from Tony because, again, they're friends. She does have hot friends in high places. And Tony completely upgrades her arm and gets her all. She has a repulsor shield now. She can do all kinds of cool tricks.
It's got vibranium in it.
Yeah, it's got vibranium. It's diamond laced and got vibranium in it, so it's not getting cut off anymore.
You really don't want these problems,
right? Yeah, it is. It makes her even because, again, you got to remember she's doing all this stuff, and again, she's still just a human. She has no superpowers. She has a metal arm, sure, but she has no superpowers. And still, she's not even trained like Colleen and Danny, all of them. They're martial artists. I love the fact that when she has her final fight with this woman, who's another trained ninja and stuff like that, and she wants to fight Colleen and everything like that, and Misty basically brings her down and going, "Yeah, you don't know street kung fu," and she whoops her ass. Right. She whoops her ass like a black woman from the street, yo.
She was right.
Oh no, she was right.
No,
you did not know. You do not fuck with that. Let me see exactly what she calls. He is like, "How's your Gravesend Brooklyn style? What about your 110th Street slam? Are you practicing Bronx bomber technique? Didn't think so. Your street techniques are quite pathetic."
I mean, there's no lies.
No, there is no lies. You gotta love Misty Knight just because, again, another character born out of the blaxploitation era of Marvel Universe, but has become so much more than that. You just gotta love a dark-skinned black woman, natural hair, most times has a fro, and it's just a certified badass.
Consistently whipping people's asses.
Consistently whipping people's asses and not giving a shit.
No apologies. Mm-hmm. No. There's no half-stepping with Miss Knight.
Again, you would say this, and I would say this not because she's a woman. I would say this about any just normal human being with no superpowers, and they constantly punching above their weight class and constantly winning.
Oh yeah, she's a winner.
Right.
That's an important note. She is a winner.
Right. The Daughters of the Dragon series also was great because they end up getting a indestructible. Cause they keep going to Hogarth to get secretaries and assistants and personal assistants for the business, but it never works because when you're in the Bills Bonds business for supervillains, things can go wrong, and so they're always running out of assistants. So they get a new one called whose name is Otis, and Otis is fucking hilarious. And drives Misty insane because during this thing he ends up he starts talking in black vernacular, African American vernacular, and she is not happy. You want to get fired? I told you stop fronting, you little wankster. I'm sorry, I was really into the role. I was trying to channel Snoop Dogg in 50 with a little touch of Hot Lana. You're coming off more like a poser mobile. That's cold, Colleen. Here goes Danny. Who is this guy? He used to be our former receptionist. You're Iron Fist, right? I love the collar. It's so choice. You got that whole yellow Zorro meets Spider-Man thing. You're indestructible, right? Yes, I am. Why do you ask? Danny punches him out of the frame. Thank you, Daniel. It was my pleasure. You guys are really mean. Here goes Colleen. You guys are really mean. Otis is obviously having an identity crisis.
It's ridiculous.
Oh man, yeah, it is awesome.
I like that. I like that they resolved, too often you see people who break up in a series like this and they can't be around each other or whatever.
Right.
They let Danny and Misty become engaged and they break it off eventually.
Mm-hmm. They had a pregnancy scare at one point. She ends up having a miscarriage, I think, because of stress.
Right. But they never make it like they can't be in the same room.
Right.
Which wouldn't make any sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, this is a core group, and I'm like I said, I'm really interested in seeing how they do this on Netflix, but they're a core group here, seeing Colleen, Misty, Danny, and Luke together. I mean, it's great, and they work pretty together, particularly Colleen, Misty, and Danny, who are the original three anyway.
Right.
But yeah, you right now you see where Misty Knight is now, and she's obviously in a relationship with Sam Wilson, and it's basically that voice in his ear telling him, hey, don't listen to all these other motherfuckers telling you can't be Captain America. You are Captain America. You need to go out there and be Captain America. I mean, it might seem like they put Misty Knight in these supporting roles, but again, she's really not. You can't just calling her a supporting character doesn't do her justice.
It's insufficient.
Right. Again, Daughters of the Dragon, there was several heroes for hire. Like after Luke Cage goes off with Jessica Jones and Danny's doing his own thing, Heroes for Hire becomes basically run several times by Misty Knight. So she runs Heroes for Hire organizations. So after Daughters of the Dragon, I believe the next level thing is one of the Heroes for Hire series that she does. And again, it's her, Colleen. They bring in Tarantula, some of the former villains that you meet during the Daughters of the Dragon series. Humbug, they bring him back. They bring Okra. It's so funny. They bring all these people back and to form this another team. And that series ends kind of like on a really fucked up note. They go through all this stuff, and again, they go through World War Hulk. At one point, they're going and they're trying to, they're contracted to bring in, Moon Boy and Devil Dinosaur, and that does not. Let me see if I can find how that ends, but that does not go well, because it ends up bringing in the Brood and all this other stuff happening. Several of the heroes die. It is not a it's not a happy story. And in the end, you basically get Colleen. Colleen is kind of broken by the end of this one. And let me see. I think that was the series. Yeah. Here we go. I'll read this. We'll get to the end. But again, Misty Knight is front and center in a lot of this. And going into this. So, yeah. It's over, Colleen. It's all over. Let's go home. Don't you understand? He's one of us, talking about Moon Boy. And we're going to let them run tests on him and cut him out. Please. We took him out of his home, and now we're killing him. You turned us all into murderers. Look at us. We sold the stuff inside of us that made us good. We went bad, Misty. Somewhere along the line, we went bad. Don't say that, girl. As long as we're together, it's going to be okay. We're a team, you and me. We're heroes for hire. We never should have been heroes for hire, Misty. We should have just been heroes. Mm-hmm. So, again, that's that's the 2006 Heroes for Hire series. I think there's another Heroes for Hire series, but she gets brainwashed. She also does the Villains for Hire storyline,
right?
A series. She does that. And like I said, I like reading the stuff that she's in. There's also the Fearless Defenders one that has her and Valkyrie teaming up. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. That was a short run book that should have. I wish it had gotten legs.
Right. No, it definitely should have. And it definitely seemed like it was a longer storyline that they were building up there. That again, you have her coming in here, and because how many?
Colin Bum was writing it too. Yeah, man. See, this is the thing.
That's a 12. Yeah, it only got 12 issues, but yeah, there was so much more they could have done with that one too.
Well, that's the thing is that Marvel took a shot.
Mm-hmm.
Like, say what you about Marvel, they don't know. They supported this book. Cullen Bunn's a great talent. They put him on this book.
Same guy who wrote the Magneto book we talked about.
Mm-hmm. He's the same guy who wrote the Avengers Arena with the Young Avengers characters that I really enjoyed. Like, this guy's a great writer, and they gave him 12 issues. Sales didn't work out for him, but Marvel put the book out, and they supported it for 13, and I can appreciate that.
Right. Like I said, so you have that. You have the Essential Power Man and Iron Fist. I think she's more of a supporting character in that. But you actually, like I said, I remember we talked about this. I think it was Friday, wasn't it? Yeah, we were like, man, I don't know if we're gonna be able to find Misty Knight. I was like, I found a couple of things. I don't know. And then I started looking more. It's like you can actually find several Misty Knight books that have Misty Knight being what you want to see, which is a badass.
Yeah,
they're there. You can catch up with Misty Knight in again Sam Wilson Captain America book, where they started in the 2014, where she showed up there, and she's been a constant in that book. And I'm really hoping they bring another book back that gets either Heroes for Hire or gets.
I like her as a really big part of the supporting cast in Sam Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if she could support her own book while that story's still ongoing.
True.
I think after that story, I think you and I, we could see some good things on that end. But yeah. I think for now, I think we're going to see, we've seen what we're going to see.
Right. Yeah, but like you said, like once for now, I like where she's at because again, she plays a huge role in that issue.
Huge role.
What was it, issue 11, where when Rhodey dies. Like she's a very, very important piece, and one, it's always great to get black love on paper, you know.
Yep.
So there's always that, but it's also great just to see her be the role that we've always seen black women be, which is independent, strong, but also caring and nurturing when need to be, and also when they need to, you know, kick you in the ass, they can do that too. When they need to, you know.
Yeah.
You know, tell you to stop moping around and go out there and be something, and go out there and be Captain America, go out there and be somebody. You know, it's great to see her in that role, and I'm really excited to see where they go from there and what they do with that. So, yeah, Misty, like I said, Misty is a great character that has had. Like you always think of her as just a side character, but when you look at where they put her at in, you know, like the Heroes for Hire book, where these books we mentioned, like Fearless Defenders, Daughters of the Dragon, and the Heroes for Hire books, those are basically Misty Knight books.
Oh yeah,
she is basically the leader of this team. She's doing things like in the Fearless Defenders book. At one point, Valkyrie goes off and does something because they're taking on the Doom Maidens, and Valkyrie goes off and does something, and He's like, all right, cool. She's not going to ask for help, but I don't know what to do. And she goes out and calls all the other women in Marvel to show up and help and stuff like that. So it's just like, you know, yeah. I mean, Misty knows what to do and does her own thing and is great to see. And again, I really enjoyed seeing when you get to see her and Colleen together. And so I would love to see more of that. And it makes you wonder, like I said, we'll go into this now. Luke Cage, man, Friday.
We're not ready.
We are not.
None of us are. Like, there's no way to be ready. Like, I think that from what I've heard, and not really spoilers, but people have been, I guess, they've got some people who had first looks at it. What I'm hearing is just nothing but greatness. Mm-hmm. That Marvel really did it, and I'm really happy. I'm really excited to read it, or to see it, to read it. Jeez. It feels like a comic book. It feels like putting comics to television, and I don't know what they're going to choose to do with Luke Cage. We covered a lot of stories here today. We didn't cover some stories, and I think they're going to take it's going to be very much a best of first season. Mm-hmm. With Jessica Jones, it was kind of, you had to tell the Purple Man story first. Mm-hmm. With Daredevil, you kind of have to tell Frank Miller, year one, born again type stuff. With Luke, there's enough there where there's space to play. And when you look at the creatives who've been chosen for this and Marvel's track record with creative writing, I think it's going to be something that's going to stand out amidst all the goodness that Marvel's been giving us.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely.
We made it. I don't say anymore.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is great. Like, you have two black-ass characters. Honestly. It's just what it is. And you're going to have a black-ass show. And there's a lot. Again, it doesn't seem like a lot. And I know this is going to seem like it's one of the shorter ones. And this is just because unlike some of the other stories that we cover, I mean, there are storylines here, but it's more about the progression of the characters. Particularly Luke Cage. You know, you have the distinction of him when he's first starting off trying to clear his name and he's operating as a fugitive. Then you have him hero for hire. And you have him as, you know, team up, him and Iron Fist. Then you literally have him moving into being the Avenger and the dad.
Yeah, he grows up in front of your eyes.
You literally watch his character grow up. And, I mean, there's just not much to say about that. I mean, it's great reading, don't get me wrong. We'll put the articles in there. You read these things. I think that it's hard because, unlike some of the other character where they're growing with their storyline is, I don't want to say that Luke's stuff isn't a huge part of what was going on in these storylines. It is. But you get issues, like you said, when you read that issue, was it 47 or 46? Which issue was that? The one...
Oh, the one I just brought up?
Yeah.
Let me see. I think it's 47.
47.
Sure, though.
Yeah, like, issue like that where...
47, yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't have... It's not a huge part of that storyline, if per se, like, of the grand scheme of it, because it's really just about, you know, a dad telling a story to his young daughter about when he fell in love with when he learned to trust his wife, her mother, and also about you go to the present, that daughter is now ripped away from them. Like that's it. That's that story. But when you look at what Secret Invasion was about, it seems like such a small piece. Oh, it's just an infant kid. We're talking about Skrulls invading the world. Why are we talking about this one little kid? It's like, and it's
so funny because the way it's framed is it starts with Luke changing the kid. I'm just gonna read it. I'm sorry, I love this issue. I think it's great. Jessica, you're scared of her. I ain't scared. You fought Dr. Doom. I ain't scared. What's it doing now? It has female private parts. So I'm going to call it a she from now on. Okay. You don't want to give her any more conflicts than the one she's going to get when she sees us in our old hero costumes. Talk to her, balance her, tell her a story. She needs to hear your voice. She needs to know who you are. She needs to feel safe. Yeah, okay. Okay, baby. By the way, they don't name the baby for a very long time, which is hilarious. I'm going to tell you about the time me and your mommy first met. Already told her. How about the first time you fought her? Already told her. How about the time you'd never tell her? Okay. How about the time I tell you about the day I fell in love with your mother? You fell in love with me the first day we met. No, you fell in love with me the first day we met. I reserve judgment. And then it's him telling the story. And it opens with him picking up a limousine that Donald Trump's inside of and holding it so an ambulance can pass. And Luke Cage yelling, "Where you are going is not more important than where they are going." Donald Trump, he puts the car down. Donald Trump says, "I will sue he says, "Get your ass back in the car." He closes the door.
Relevant.
Super relevant. It's from 2009, man.
Relevant.
Super relevant. If they do that in the Luke Cage series, it's over. I quit.
Yeah. And then we have Misty Knight. Again, the Villains for Hire story is really good to me because they really show you how she has a long game in what she's doing to get back at the Purple Man for something he did to her. And it is a pretty. I just liked it because it shows you, that again she was a detective, and Misty Knight can run a game just as good as anybody else. So I mean, like I said, these are two really, really good characters. You can find some really good stories with them in there. There's way more. Again, there's a lot of stuff you can find with Misty Knight in there. Like I think she was also in the Defender series they had, which again, hey, listen, Marvel's doing Defenders. Maybe you want to pick that up and read it. I don't know. So
maybe
you want to look into that. It might have some people that you might recognize and know. So, but yeah, man, I think it's great. We'll probably get more into this, and when we do, and more into both of these characters. When we do, you can almost consider this a part one, because when we go back and we do Iron Fist and Colleen, both of these characters are going to have to come up again,
right?
Because it's impossible to talk about those other two. It's really impossible to do that. So if it feels like this one is shorter than normal, it's because we're literally splitting the baby here and cutting down the middle. Because I really want to wait for the Iron to go more into Iron Fist and do the Iron Fist stuff when we get closer to that Netflix show coming out. But you can read these stories here and get a lot of that, and you'll see why Marvel, like having done. And again, I haven't seen Luke Cage yet, but having seen 2 seasons of Daredevil, having seen Jessica Jones, and then knowing that this is our third character corner on characters that are going to be in or have been in Netflix series. I can totally now see why Marvel picked these 4 characters to do their Netflix series. It makes total sense right now.
This is how you launch a universe.
It is. Absolutely. Hell, one thing I would love to see too? I would love to see Misty Knight interacting with the Punisher. There's one issue. I think it was in Daughters of the Dragon. They show up to they're trying to put their plan together to get back at Rasadana, and they show up. She's like, Colleen goes, "Why are we here? Why are we talking to this guy?" And you realize it's where the Punisher is, and he literally has a bunch of dead bodies around. He's working around. Let me see if I can find the thing, because at one point they walk in and so he walks in and he has his little all his weapons up. He's like, fine, take whatever you need, return them clean. Is it getting hot in here or is it just me? That's what that's what Missy says. Colleen looks at the wall and sees he has a bunch of chainsaws on the wall. Do much logging in Brooklyn? It's amazing. It is so great. Also, there is let's see. Here is the issue where because again they had Heroes for Hire. Iron Man's talking to Colleen and Misty about where they stand on trying to bring Captain America in and things like that. Trying to understand where I'm coming from. I'm a black woman living in America. You are all white bread affluent males. Maybe not so affluent in your case, Spidey. Go ahead and tell us how you really feel. It's her defining personality trait. Not to get all my people, but slavery didn't end until 1865. Susan B. Anthony registered and voted in 1872 election and was arrested for knowingly, wrongfully, and unlawfully voting for a representative government to the Congress of the United States. It's 2006. This isn't a black and white thing or a women's right issue. You're absolutely correct, but it does illustrate a point. Make clear division in civil rights of one group over another is a dangerous and familiar idea that nearly always ends in violent conflict. Mind you, this sounds almost exactly the similar conversation that Luke Cage had when talking to Tony.
Right.
I need to know you're doing all you can to keep that from happening. Misty, you were a cop. You understand the need for civil order and laws. I absolutely do. It's about damn time that mass took responsibility for their actions. You want to train all the new kids on the block to be proper superheroes? We got no problems there. People are resistant to change. We promise to do everything possible to make this a peaceful transition. That's all we need to hear. We'll happily go Wyatt Earp on the criminal underground and drag every low life with a mask and buccaneer boots. But I want start level resources and the authority to cherry pick my team with no questions, as even if I want felons and mercenaries. You got it. One more thing, and this is important, so pay attention. You know me, and I know what kind of woman I am. If I say we're with you, then that's that 100%. But I better damn well feel when your word. I better damn well have your word that when things go bad, and believe me, they will go bad, you'll still be men I trust and respect. So, again, they never forget that they are black as fuck.
Yeah. And apparently that's what they're nailing in this series, which I am 100% here for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, again, another reason why you gotta love these two characters. You know, and again, the reason why you love Marvel for doing it, they never shy away from this. You know, it's telling that with both Luke and Misty, when dealing with civil rights and dealing with Tony Stark, they bring up the fact, yeah, you're a rich white dude. Of course you don't think it's a black and white issue. Of course you don't see what you're saying is danger and how you're talking to me as a black person in America about the stuff going on here. Yeah, I see this will go bad. Because it always goes bad because we've seen how this goes. We've lived through this stuff. You don't see it, but we do. You know, and I love the fact that they made both of those characters make those points in Civil War because it's important and it's true. So.
That's it, man. That's all it is. I'm excited. This is gonna be a great Friday.
Yeah, I can't wait. I'm definitely calling in black. So.
Oh yeah.
All right. So that's it for the character corner for Misty Knight and Luke Cage. Again, this will be up on Tuesday. We'll put all of our readings and things like that in there. It's now time for us to go ahead and talk about. And again, we've announced this before. But we'll say what the next character corner is. Oh, why are you saying this like you are not excited about these two? You know you are.
For y'all trolling Chris on the internet right now, I need a gift that says it's a trap.
You know.
Or like a meme. I need something that I can put on my header.
You know you are very
telling
excited
everyone Chris is a trap.
All right. The one in October, because Legend of Tomorrow is coming out and they're bringing these characters on there. We're gonna do the JSA.
Oh, yep.
Yep, we're doing the Justice Society.
JSA.
So
that's not the one I'm worried about.
It's gonna be interesting. Cause
I'm worried about the presumptive 8-parter you signed me up for.
The 8-parter. Yeah, this is gonna be a lot. Well, I mean, is it any better than the one that's gonna be after this?
That's what I'm talking about. The one that's what I'm really worried about.
Yeah. Oh, I think you're talking about the JSA.
I can handle.
Yeah, the JSA is not that bad. We covered some of this anyway when we did the Black Adam podcast. We'll go back and revisit and go over more detail some of these characters. And even I think when we did a little bit of the JSA when we did Suicide Squad. Mm-hmm. We did Atom Smasher and stuff like that. So yeah, but the one afterwards is the one that's really gonna be great. And like you said, it could be a multi-part.
This will not be a 1-part podcast.
It could be a.
It maybe will. You know what? There's a way to do it. We may be able to get there. We'll see.
The next one will be a multi-part.
Damn it!
Listen. Okay. Remember when we said we could do Dr. Doom in one?
We never said that.
I thought
we said maybe 2.
Maybe 2. We did 3.
Turned to 3.
It turned into 3. I'm really excited about this one though. The Teen Titans. And I blame you for this one because you're the one that suggested Superboy. And I don't know how you thought you were going to do Superboy and not get me. Like this is where you were the trap layer in this one. You did Superboy and I realized halfway through this is just your end around way of trying to tease me and trick me into doing a Teen Titans one. So I'm just giving you what you wanted.
No, see, I was trying to get you to do a Teen Titans comic book club for the McCone and John's run. I had no intention of you doing this to me.
We could do that too. I mean, I'm not saying
two. We're about to do it. It's a character core. What are you talking about?
Yeah, we're gonna do Teen Titans, all the Teen Titans, and so that's gonna be a fun one. That's good. Deepom's saying he's excited about this one.
I am. It's gonna be fun. It's just gonna be a lot.
Right. It will be a lot.
And it's not like we're not going to be reviewing 4 television shows at the same time.
Oh, no. I mean...
yeah. Teen Titans.
Yes.
We're not talking New 52. I'm sorry. I refuse. I tried. I won't do it. I'll skip over to Rebirth because I think a Rebirth issue or 2 should be out by the time we get there.
Yeah, no, we'll skip over.
New 52, I'm skipping entirely.
Well, even if we do Rebirth, I mean, we still got Titans.
Yeah, there you go, Titans. I will not do New 52 Teen Titans. I won't do it. You can't make me.
We just pretend like it didn't exist.
Exactly.
The way I see it, like DC's already kind of pretending like New 52 didn't exist. So,
well, they are and they aren't. All right, we'll talk about that later.
Right. It's kind
of a hint in this week's Trinity that I was like, oh shit, what's going on here?
Oh.
There have been hints where some histories may be malleable and things are going to get really. I think it's going to be. The meta story they're telling is really interesting. I never thought I'd say that in recent years about DC. Well done, sirs.
So, there you guys have it. Character Corner. Leave us a 5-star review, and we will read it on the next Character Corner we do, which will be sometime in October. We'll try to do it right before or right after the Legend of Tomorrow debuts for that. And you can find us on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, or anywhere you get a favorite podcast. Search for Character Corner, or you get the main feed at mtrnetwork.net, or search for MTR Network. Everything on it. Again, guys, thank you guys very much for listening, and enjoy Luke Cage on Friday. Until next time, we are out of here. Peace.